All right, I'm gonna be going over my digital booklet, Yavapai Elementary. Here's my table of contents. All right. Chapter one, it's about the exploration of the community. So to start off, where is my school that I'm doing, Yavapai? It's in the Scottsdale Unified School District, which is on this map where the circled in the green, and then that's the address, and then the arrow pointing. It's in the Coronado Learning Community. So as you can see with the green arrow pointing to it, right under the word Coronado right here that I'm circling is Yavapai. It's in the southernmost part of the boundary of Scottsdale Unified School District. So it's in right on the border actually between Scottsdale and North Tempe. So it's kind of in the middle, right between those two areas. And let's take a look at the demographics. There's a decent amount of crime that you get from being part of Tempe on the border of Tempe. You get the Tempe crime. It kind of turns into Scottsdale crime. And then the business though is booming. The diversification, as you can see, 1 in 5 Scottsdale residents is a person of color. It's uncertain if that has to do with the crime. That's not really what we focus on. But as you can see with the data, 2,444 or 244,394 residents are served by a bunch of different assets here, volunteers, employees, board and commission members. And this blue outline is Scottsdale. And if we go back to the map, where Coronado is right here matches right up with this part down here where Tempe is. And then transitioning, there are 3 different types of characteristics that are relevant to the school and taking into consideration those demographics, their cultural, economic, and social, reflect on my culture or reflection on the cultural. Uh, it depends on where it's located. It's going to be different surrounding student body and staff. As you can see from the business demographics, like I said, 1 in 5 Scottsdale residents, person of color. English is actually one of the minority languages spoken here. It's about 50% Spanish, which lends into the culture aspect. Economics, students from low income families may lack access to basic educational tools. I'll touch more on how we bridge that gap later in my read aloud. But this quote right here, schools in low income areas often receive less funding, resulting in larger class sizes, outdated materials, and fewer extracurricular opportunities. So the Yavapai Elementary School being on the cusp of the Coronado learning community of Chandler, or not Chandler, sorry, Scottsdale and Northern Tempe, you're getting a lot of the North Tempe scenery, and it's less developed. It perfectly describes that outdated materials, fewer extracurricular opportunities. And so in order to bridge that gap, Scottsdale increased the funding and made Yavapai a great school. So it's really nice to see that. Social touched on the crime rate. And then going into chapter two, this was what are the key factors in the school environment that shapes student experience. And there's my essential question. Yavapai Elementary environment shapes student experience. One major factor is the school focus on community and family involvement, which helps students feel supported both at home and at school. Variety of programs offered like music, art, PE, and after school clubs also give students chances to explore their interests and learn in different ways. Another important factor is the academic support the school provides, especially for students who need extra help or are learning English. Updated facilities and smaller class sizes also contribute to positive learning environment. So Yavapai underwent some changes, building changes, additions, renovations, and they created new access for students, new programs to get them focused, integrated, learning English, and also after school clubs to bridge the social and cultural gaps. And you can look at this through some more demographics here. 52% proficient in math, 27% proficient in reading. Those are only going to go up based on the development that Yavapai is putting into advancing the curriculum. Diversity, high diversity, total of 387 students. But if we look down here, it's a pretty even split, male, female. But the student diversity, the racial makeup, 65.4% Hispanic, 16.8% white, 6.2% African American, 5.2% Native American, 4.1% multiracial, 2.1% Asian, and 0.3% Pacific Islander. So it's a very diverse group, majority being Hispanic. And that's why a lot of the good developments that are happening are centered around bridging the English Spanish gap. But then we go down to the student experience. What are students actually getting into? While they've added some new stuff, there's crafts and games, chess and coding, STEM, math and reading support for before school that gives students a chance to come in ready to learn. After school, there's PE games, gardening, chorus, homework support. Chorus is basically choir. And this is all taken straight from Yavapai here. And they introduced a bunch of resources. These are all very new. With academics, they're trying to bridge more academic gaps. They're trying to integrate more arts. And they're also bringing more athletics, as you saw with the PE after school. And they're also getting more involved in the community, into people in the community with being involved in the school board. Reflection. All right, going into chapter 3. How do relationships in the classroom between students, peers, and teachers contribute to or hinder the development of a supportive learning environment? Let's take a look at this. So diving deeper, we've got the classroom makeup, 83.2% minority enrollment. Real quickly, Yavapai Elementary School in Scottsdale, Arizona, the student population reflects a highly diverse cultural environment with 83.2% of students identifying as part of a minority group. The majority of students are Hispanic Latino, 65.4%, followed by smaller groups, including Black or African American, 6.2%, American Indian or Alaskan Native, and others such as Asian, multiracial, and Native Hawaiian students. Only 16.8% of those students are white. This rich cultural makeup creates a dynamic and multicultural learning environment where educators have the opportunity and responsibility to implement inclusive practices that reflect students' varied backgrounds. So, Scottsdale Unified School District, the more you go north, let's go back to this map, the more you go north, the diversity goes down. But the more you go south, more towards the Tempe, where Yavapai is, you get that demographic pie chart that looks like this. And this is actually really good. Diversity is what we need in schools. And this gives schools a chance to, like I said, get in touch with their backgrounds and uh, teach culturally responsive methods. And this ensures that every student feels represented, supported, and able to succeed in the classroom. Something that's really cool that they've been doing is technology integration. It's a big part of Yavapai, especially in classrooms like fourth grade math, for example. This photo is from a math section back in the COVID era where they got their Chromebooks and they're using IXL Booklet in Google Classroom. And teachers can use that technology to bridge more gaps. They also do this great thing called AVID. It's an AVID program, advancement via individual determination. This is a framework that's designed to get kids through elementary school, through middle school, and through high school with college and beyond in mind. So, like I said, 83% of the students are from minority backgrounds, which really shows how diverse the community is. Tells me that there's a mixed cultures, language, and experience that's all coming together. And then the data makes you think about how schools actually show core values of family and community that it serves. They include things that bridge this gap, like Spanish, English tutoring. And something that is really positive is that kids are starting to see that this school actually does care about them, giving back to the community. And you could see that with what was included in the student resources here. And then to answer that essential question, relationships in the classroom are honestly a huge part of what makes learning environment either solid or super awkward. When students feel like their teacher actually cares about them and their classmates aren't just strangers they sit next to, it creates the vibe where people feel safe to speak up, take risks, and enjoy learning. And then we got the chapter four, analysis of the context. In what ways do interactions between students' home life, school life, and community environment influence their overall development, academic success? So there's the meso system at Yavapai Elementary. The connection between home, school, and community is honestly pretty solid, even though there are still some areas that could use work. The school does a good job of getting families involved through community events and partnerships with local sports, which makes everything feel more connected. Stuff like school carnivals, fundraisers, or even community meetups help bridge that gap between what's happening at school and what's going on at home. Yavapai pushes values that promote pride, effort, and character, which sets a positive tone for the students and helps them feel like they belong. However, not every family has the same level of access, comfort when it comes to getting involved, especially if they're dealing with financial struggles or cultural differences, things like think time, forms, uh, reward system that might not be the same for every kid. So like what Yavapai is doing is actually really good. And again, that's the things in the meso system are the things the student resources. The chrono system, this is about the change, the impact, home life. Traditions, partnerships, local groups have to adjust and keep up with what the students actually need. With 29% of the students facing or economic challenges, and you could also see that with the business demographics from up here that plays right into this. Not everyone feels the support during these changes. They got a new vice principal. Everyone's kind of adjusting to that. So, as a teacher, it's critical to play a big role in helping students navigate these changes. Promoting inclusivity is always the key role here. And there's two things. The Yavapai Family Resource Center kind of piggybacks off of what the Kyrene School District framework is. They're since they got a new building, or not a new building, but they got building renovations, new vice principal. They're copying the framework of Kyrene School District to be inclusive. And then the holistic was on that. And then lastly, chapter five, how can teachers use their understanding of Bonhoeffer's ecological systems theory to adapt their teaching practices to better meet the needs of students within the specific context. So I have some goals. Make students feel comfortable in the classroom and giving them a chance to be themselves in order for everyone to get to know each other. I think that's important. Participate in things outside of the classroom, but being involved. Something like sports. Be cognizant of race. Like I said, the demographics, lots of different race, mixed bag. Challenge students to motivate them and to actually care about what they're doing. And then making sure my students know the consequences of misbehaving. And to touch more on that, these are the five goals: how I plan to run my classroom, build real connections with students, families, and school. First, I want students to feel comfortable being themselves. That's how we build trust and actually get to know each other. Second, I'll be involved outside the classroom too, like supporting sports or school events. So students see I actually care beyond just the classroom, being a figure both in the classroom and outside the classroom, on the court, off the court type thing. And then we're going to push them. We're going to push them and support them and set clear expectations for behavior. And then being an educator here, it's all about making relations. So in the community, it's broken up into three categories: community, school, classroom. In the community, help students by tutoring them or being involved in their activities like being a sports coach, incorporating real life culture, both here in AZ and what their cultures are. So I want to include both current Arizona culture, what they're going through now, but also what their heritage entails. And then school, get to know my coworkers by going out and arranging fun things to do, getting friendly with my coworkers, learning about them, which can lead to veteran teachers giving me feedback, especially with lesson plans, is one thing that I want to get better at. And then in the classroom, paying attention to what students want to learn and trying my best to incorporate authentic material that's relevant to the times, doing something that actually gives students something to interact with rather than just head down at a paper learning. It's so much better if you can integrate real world things into it. So yeah, as an educator, all my core values center around community school and classroom. I want them to be involved, whether it's in the classroom or outside of the classroom, and just showing up for them. And the way that this is achieved is through creating a fun atmosphere for students to learn, foster school to community relations, and making learning a safe place. So this brings us to the North Tempe Multi-Generational Center. This is a perfect place where students can come play sports, get academic help. They have a lot of facilities and space to arrange events, courtesy of City of Tempe. Now, Yavapai is in the Scottsdale Unified School District, but a lot of the students go here, go to the North Tempe Multi-Generational Center. This place is about half a mile away from the school. So I want to utilize this place. I think it's a perfect place to foster creative and physical outlets like basketball and tutoring. Furthermore, there's a lot of students outside and inside the space that can be utilized. And then this also allows parents to be stress free about where they're sending their kids. It's a safe place, and the students are going to get both exercise physically and mentally through homework help, learning, tutoring. They also offer before and after school care for pre-K. They also have food and water plans that serve the greater community. And this also ties into the Avid Center from earlier, the Avid that involves kids in their advancement as individuals. And that is all.